Hello and welcome guys to Reception. This video is all about the ICSE 2022 History and Civics specimen paper. In this video, we are going to solve the specimen paper, and along with that, we will also talk about the examination pattern for the semester 2 History and Civics board exam. So make sure that you watch this video till the end, and if you like it, do hit the thumbs up button, share this video with your friends and subscribe to our channel Eduception. Also guys, I never say this, but out of all our viewers, only 20% are subscribed to the channel and 80% haven't subscribed. So please guys, subscribe to the channel. It really helps us and motivates us. Now, without any further ado, let's begin with the examination pattern. The ICSE 2022 Semester 2 History and Civics. Guys, the question paper is of 40 marks and you will get 1.5 hours to solve the entire thing. The question paper is divided in two parts. Part 1, which is of 10 marks, objective type, and part 2, which is of 30 marks, subjective type. Let's begin with part 1. Part 1, 10 marks. Guys, part 1 is a compulsory part, and over here you will have to attempt all the questions. In part 1 you will get question 1. In question 1 you will have 10 MCQs of 1 mark each to give you 10 into 1, 10 marks. Simple. Moving on to part 2. Guys, part 2 is of 30 marks and part 2 contains two sections. Section A and Section B. Section A is of civics. I mean all the questions from Section A will be from civics. And Section B is from history. That means all the questions of Section B will be from history. In Section A, that is the civics section, you will have to attempt any one question from the two questions that you get. You will get question 2 and question 3. Out of these two questions, you will have to attempt any one. Moving on to Section B, the history section. Guys, in the history section, you will have to attempt any two questions out of the three questions that you get. You will get question 4, question 5 and question 6. Out of these three questions, you will have to attempt any two. So in total, you are attempting one question from Section A and two questions from Section B. That is 3 questions. Each question is of 10 marks. So 3 into 10 gives you 30 marks. Guys, I feel that this can be a little complicating, but don't worry. Once you see the solutions of the specimen paper, you will understand it easily. So now we'll move on to the solutions of the specimen paper. So guys, here we have the ICSE Semester 2 examination specimen question paper for history and civics. Over here are all the instructions. You can read them yourself. We will begin with part 1. Part 1 is a compulsory section, and over here you will have to attempt all the questions. Question 1. You have to choose the correct answers to the questions from the given options. That means multiple choice questions. Part 1. The procedure to remove the president is called impeachment. Hence guys, option A, impeachment, is correct. Moving on to part 2. The term of office of the vice president is 5 years. Hence, option A, 5 years, is correct. Part 3. The dash is considered to be the leader of the Lok Sabha. Guys, the Prime Minister of India is considered to be the leader of the Lok Sabha. Hence, option D is correct. Part 4. The power of the Supreme Court to review laws passed by Union Legislature is, guys, that is the judicial review. Hence, option D, judicial review, is correct. Part 5. The High Court judges are appointed by the President of India. Hence, option A, President, is correct. Part 6. Which of the following was not a common ideology of the dictators? A. Faith in totalitarian rule. That was a common ideology. B. One party and one leader. That was also a common ideology. C. Faith in communism. Guys, that was not a common ideology. Hence, option C is correct. Part 7. The International Court of Justice consists of 15 judges. Hence, option B, 15, is correct. Part 8. The non-permanent members of the Security Council are elected by the members of the General Assembly. Hence, option A, General Assembly is correct. Part 9. The Treaty of Versailles mandated Germany to pay a war reparation of about $33 billion. Hence, C, $33 billion is correct. Moving on to the last question, which is part 10. Which of these countries was not a part of the Berlin-Rome-Tokyo axis? Berlin is the capital of Germany, Rome is the capital of Italy, and Tokyo is the capital of Japan. Hence, option D, France is correct. Simple. Over here we come to the end of part 1. Now we'll move on to part 2. Moving on to part 2, section A. Guys, in section A, you will have to attempt any one question from the 2 questions that you get. Question 2. The executive power of the Indian Union is vested in the President of India. In this context, answer the following questions. 1. You have to give any 2 reasons for the indirect election of the President. Guys, first of all, India is the largest democracy of the world, where once in 5 years, we elect the members of the Lok Sabha and eventually the Prime Minister. If there is one more national level election, it would lead to loss of energy, money as well as time. That is why the President of India is indirectly elected. Secondly, it would be very difficult to provide an electoral machinery for the presidential election. So these were the 2 reasons. Part 2. You have to mention any 2 discretionary powers of the President. So 2 discretionary powers are, first, the President can withhold the signature to a bill and can send it back to the Parliament if it is not a money bill. Secondly, when no party enjoys a majority in the Lok Sabha, the President has the freedom to decide who should be appointed as the Prime Minister. Moving on to the next question, which is part 3. You have to mention any 3 legislative powers of the President. So guys, first of all, the President can issue ordinances when the Parliament is not in session. Secondly, the President has the power to dissolve the Lok Sabha. And thirdly, the President nominates 12 members to the Rajya Sabha and 2 members of the Anglo-Indian community to the Lok Sabha. So these were 3 legislative powers of the President. Part 4. You have to name the 3 kinds of emergencies that can be proclaimed by the President. So the 3 kinds of emergencies are, first, emergency caused by war, that is national emergency. Secondly, emergency on account of failure of constitutional machinery in state, that is the constitutional emergency. So, constitutional. And thirdly, emergency of a threat to the financial stability of India, that is the financial emergency. So, financial. Hence guys, these were the 3 kinds of emergencies that can be proclaimed by the President of India. Now we will move on to the next question. Moving on to question 3. The Supreme Court is the head of the entire system of judiciary. In this context, answer the following questions. Part 1. You have to mention any 2 qualifications required by a person to be the judge of the Supreme Court. First of all, he or she must be a citizen of India. Secondly, he or she must have been a judge of a high court for at least 5 years, or he or she must be an advocate of the high court for at least 10 years. So these were the qualifications. Part 2. Who appoints the judges of the Supreme Court? What is their term of office? Guys, the President of India appoints the judges of the Supreme Court, and once a judge is appointed, he or she retires on attaining the age of 65 years. So that is the term of office. Part 3. You have to mention any 3 cases which come under the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. First, a dispute between the Government of India and 1 or more states. Secondly, a dispute between 2 or more states. And thirdly, in case where enforcement of fundamental rights are there. Hence, These are three cases which come under the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. Part 4. Why is the Supreme Court called the Court of Record? Guys, the Supreme Court is called the Court of Record because of two reasons. Firstly, because the Supreme Court records all the judgments for evidence and testimony. That means for any future cases, those judgments can be used. Secondly, the court has the power to punish any contempt of itself. So these are the reasons why Supreme Court is called the Court of Record. Now we will move on to the next question. Moving on to section B. Guys, in section B, you will have to attempt any two questions out of the three questions that you get. Question 4. With reference to the First World War, you have to answer the following questions. 1. You have to name the two alliances formed in Europe during the First World War. Guys, the two alliances were first Triple Alliance, and the members of Triple Alliance were Germany, Austria-Hungary and Italy. And the second alliance was Triple Entente, and the members were Britain, France and Russia. Part 2. You have to name the two countries which came under dictatorship after the First World War, and you also have to name the dictators. So the first country is Germany and the dictator was Hitler, Adolf Hitler. So Hitler. And the second country was Italy and the dictator was Benito Mussolini. So Mussolini. Simple. Part 3. You have to explain the Sarajevo crisis. Guys, Sarajevo crisis was the immediate cause of the First World War. So what happened was, in June 1914, Archduke Francis and his wife were murdered by Princip in Sarajevo. Austria blamed Serbia for the murder and made several demands to the Serbian government. But what happened was, the Serbian government refused to accept some demands. So Austria declared war on Serbia, leading to the First World War. So that was the story of Sarajevo crisis. Part 4. You have to mention any three ways in which the Treaty of Versailles benefited France. So the three ways were, first of all, France was given full ownership of the rich coal mines of Germany in the Saar Basin for a period of 15 years. Secondly, France got possession of the overseas colonies of Togoland and Cameroon, which belonged to Germany. And thirdly, Germany had to supply huge quantities of coal to France for a period of 10 years. So guys, these were the three ways in which the Treaty of Versailles benefited France. We now move on to question number 5. You have to look at the picture given and answer the questions that follow. Over here you have the logo of the United Nations organization. Part 1. Which organization does this emblem represent? The organization that this emblem represents is the United Nations organization. So, UNO. Part 2. You have to mention any two objectives of this organization. So, two objectives of UNO are, firstly, to maintain international peace and security, and secondly, to develop friendly relations among nations to achieve international cooperation. Part 3. You have to mention any three functions of the General Assembly. First, we have the deliberative function, which states that the General Assembly may discuss any questions relating to peace and security. Secondly, we have the supervisory functions, which states that the General Assembly regulates the working of other organs and agencies of the United Nations. And thirdly, we have the financial function, which states that the General Assembly considers and approves the budget of the United Nations. Simple three functions. Part 4. What is the composition of the Security Council? Guys, the Security Council comprises of 15 members, where 5 are permanent members, which represent the big 5, that are China, France, Russia, Britain, and the United States of America. And then there are 10 non-permanent members which are elected by the General Assembly by 2/3 majority for a term of 2 years. So over here we come to the end of question 5, and now we will move on to the next question. Moving on to question 6, which is the last question of this paper. Part 1. You have to give the full form of UNICEF and UNESCO. Guys, UNICEF stands for the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, and UNESCO stands for United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. Simple. Part 2. You have to mention any two functions of WHO, that is the World Health Organization. So guys, firstly, the WHO sets international standards with respect to food, biological and pharmaceutical products. Secondly, the WHO helps fight diseases everywhere in the world. Simple. Part 3. What is meant by the term non-alignment? You have to name any two founders of the non-aligned movement. Non-alignment means that nations which are non-aligned judge each issue on its own merits and do not toe the line of one or the other superpower. You have to name any two founders of the non-aligned movement. We have Jawaharlal Nehru from India and Abdel Nasser from Egypt. Easy. Part 4. You have to mention any three objectives of the non-aligned movement. The three objectives of NAM are, first of all, maintenance of international peace and security. Secondly, helping the United Nations wheresoever it is possible. And thirdly is the enforcement of human rights. So guys, with the end of question 6, we come to the end of the specimen paper solutions. I hope that you have liked the solutions, and if you have, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and share this video with your friends. Until the next video, this is Rishi on behalf of Reception signing off, and guys, take care.